Hey everybody, it is Trags Mike Petraglia alongside Richard Skinner of Local 12 and Local12.com, and this is the latest installment of the Jungle Roar Bengals post-game pod. A disappointing loss for the Bengals today. It really might be the death knell of the 2025 Bengals. We've said it several times already this season, but a 39-34 loss, Skinny, to the Buffalo Bills here at Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park. That drops them to 4-9 on the season after they had a 28-18 lead with just under 9 minutes to go. It was a crushing loss, 21 straight points by Josh Allen, but a pick six that Joe Burrow threw obviously was really the turning point in the game, gave the Bills their first lead and the lead for good.
I mean, it happened so fast. I mean, to your point, you throw the touchdown pass to Mike Gesicki, something that they actually was born out of a practice rep where they went, yeah, if they do this, what if we do that? And it worked to perfection. And you're up 10 with 8:44 exactly to go. I just got done writing a chunk of this, Mike. I haven't finished my column, but I'm kind of on the same page. And before you can look up, to your point, the Benford interception was clearly the turning point because it gave Buffalo the lead. But I thought equally as important was the drive before. 4 plays, 68 yards, and a 40-yard Josh Allen scramble where nobody touched him all the way to the end zone. That drive needed to be forced longer. The defense is allowed to make a stop, and they just didn't, and it was embarrassing how they didn't do it. And then the Burrow interception is just a fluky play. Benford comes on a blitz. Burrow thinks he can float it over top of him to Jamar Chase. And Benford just jumps up and snatches it out of the air, runs for a touchdown. I'm not going to absolve Joe Burrow, mind you, but again, that was a great individual play by Christian Benford.
Right.
And then on the very next play from scrimmage, Jordan Phillips tips a ball, A.J. Epinesa intercepts it, and then Buffalo goes down to score on 4th and goal from the 3, and it's 21 points in the span of 3 minutes to put your season on literally like you are on last gasp time now. At 4-9, you need the Steelers to lose 3 of their final 4 games, and you need Baltimore to lose 2 of its final 4 games. You do control one of those variables because you play Baltimore. But boy, a win today, and it was trending in that direction for much of the day. I think this team would have rolled into the playoffs. Instead, you get literally no margin for error, and you sure need a bunch of help.
That's the frustrating part of this, Skinny, is the Bengals, in a game they had no margin for error, were playing with the lead for 75% of the game. This game was playing out just the way the Bengals had wanted it. And I gave them full marks for the way they were playing. I've seen a lot of Joe Burrow over the last 5 years. I can tell you that in that first half, given the snowy conditions and the slippery nature of the footing, the ball, all of it, I have never seen Joe Burrow sharper.
He was brilliant. To your point, in fact, there were even a couple of drops, understandable in the weather conditions, right? I thought it was a brilliant 30 minutes of football from Joe Burrow in the offense. And then they barely get it in the third quarter. And yet then, even then, at 21-18, James Cook's about to go in to give them a lead. The defense punches it loose. You come up with the turnover, go right back down and score, and it's like, okay, they're going to weather this storm. By golly, this is going to put this team in a real good position heading down the stretch to make this playoff push, to finish 9-8. And now it's literally, there is not an out. You need so much help, and you have to win out that it's almost an impossibility. It's still a possibility, but it's virtually an impossibility.
And Orlando Brown Jr. Talked about that with us in the scrum after the game. He said that, look, I'm not willing to concede that our hopes are gone. I do not, and he's paid to play professional football in the National Football League. I get all of that, but he still sees an avenue where the Bengals are going to go out and compete, let the chips fall where they may, but they haven't given up on the season. And I didn't get the sense, because what we try to do, Skinny, in the locker room is bring the fans a sense of what is the mood. Well, when we walked into that locker room, it was not funereal. It was not like awake. It was more like, okay, we gave it our best. We know this is one of the best teams in the AFC. We can hang there right with them. We still have 4 games to play. I found that a little odd. Maybe it's me, Skinny, and maybe I'm old-fashioned, and I know you are at times. But I want to see a little more anger. I want to see a little more resolute. I want to see some passion, like we had them where we wanted them. We got to learn how to finish out games. for the rest of the year and going forward. And I think Joe Burrow did touch on that a little bit in his own way post-game, but there just doesn't seem to be the anger that I think a lot of fans feel. Anger's the wrong word. Frustration, Skinny. I think a lot of fans feel like, where was this team all season long? Well, Joe Burrow wasn't playing, and as he said after the game, that's the way the cookie crumbles. But you got the sense after the game that that's just the way this season is played out, and oh well.
Yeah, I will say this. I don't think fans are going to want to hear this, and I don't mean this to sound as ugly as it's going to sound. Players care about winning. They care about competing. They care about the process. But at the end of the day, it's their job. And win or lose, as long as you felt like you gave the best you had, and sometimes it's just not good enough, and sometimes weird things happen, then you know what? Oh, well, the paycheck's coming on Monday, and I'm going to be just fine. And I don't mean that to sound the way it sounds. I know it does, but it's their job, and I think that's how they compartmentalize it. If I just did the best job I could, like you and I, there are days where I think I've done great, and apparently I didn't. There's days I didn't think I did so good, and apparently I did. And I just want to make sure every other Friday I get my check. That's kind of what it's all about. I want to do my best. I try my best. I think they do too. Sometimes their best isn't good enough, and I just think that's just the fact of being a professional athlete as a whole. It's your job. You do your best. Sometimes it's not good enough. Today was just weird because it was literally 28-18. I literally was sitting there writing my live game blog in my mind going, they're going to win this thing. I mean, they just scored a real decisive touchdown. They're going to hang on to win this thing, and even if Buffalo goes and scores, Burrow's going to drive them right back down and put something on the board. And he did. He had him at the Buffalo 33, 1st and 10. And the flukiest of fluky interceptions occurs. I mean, it was a great play by Benford. Probably a disappointing play. Maybe if Burrow had it to over, because he even said, I saw the linebacker coming, and I didn't want to lob it to where maybe he could get it. Well, maybe at that point, just throw it in the dirt. Throw it as far in the dirt. Throw it as close to Jamar Chase's feet as you could, as opposed to lofting over Christian Benford. But you know what, in sports, that's kind of the beauty of it. You get one chance. You get one shot. You get one shot to make the decision, and he made the wrong one.
Well, let's break down some of the stats here,
Sure.
Skinny, because I think in the first half, again, Joe Burrow was spectacular. In the first half of this game, he was 7 for his first 7 attempts on third down. The offense was, but he was responsible, I believe, for 6 of those 7 conversion. There was a rushing first down by Samaje Perine.
Yep.
Correct. And we'll get to that and Chase Brown in a little bit as well. But the Bengals started off 7 for 7 in third down conversions. They finished the first half 7 of 8. Joe Burrow in that first half completed 13 of 16 passes for just about 135 yards. And he had the 2 touchdown passes, 1 to Chase Brown and 1 on a beauty to T. Higgins in the back corner of the end zone, put it where only T. Higgins could come down with it. And I thought Joe Burrow had command of the offense like we are accustomed to seeing, but the Bengals were converting third downs at a remarkable rate, and that's what caught my eye. You need to do that on the road, and the Bengals were doing that.
Like for the game, if I told you any team, whether they're home, on the road, on Mars, on Jupiter, and they converted 10 of 12 in the game. To your point, they were 7 for 7 at one point in the first half. In fact, I think it was their very last. There was a very last third down of the half they didn't convert. That's winning football. That gets you points and wins. And somehow this team converts 10 of 12 thirds downs and loses, in part because of the fluky interceptions, but we're going to get to it, but in part because the defense reverted to its pre-bye week ways.
Yeah, and that's what was so puzzling in that 21-minute stretch, or 21-point stretch of that fourth quarter. They couldn't get a stop. And we have to also talk about, Skinny, the 3rd and 15 that the Bengals, the 40-yard touchdown run was the 40-yard touchdown run. It looked like it was some type of quarters coverage or some cover zero where there was no linebacker to be seen, and Josh Allen scampered 40 yards for the touchdown. That's one thing. But when you have 3rd and 15 to get off the field, to give Joe Burrow one more chance to go out and win the game with about 1:45 to go, and that's plenty of time, you allow a 17-yard run. To me, that's inexcusable.
How do you not spy him there?
That's what I was yelling in the hallway, in the tunnel. I was like, where is the spy? How can you not have a spy in that situation?
Yeah, and maybe they did, and maybe we'll find that out when we talk to Al Golden this week, and the spy messed up, but I sure didn't see one. I mean, that has to be a total cage rush. You can't give him any escape lanes. You maybe don't have to get to him, but here's the thing.
No.
He wasn't going to put the ball in danger in that circumstance. He was either going to throw a check down or he was going to throw it in the dirt and say, let's, go get him, defense. I'm sorry I stopped the clock. My guess is he was looking for the first best check down opportunity he had to keep the clock rolling. Bengals were out of timeouts, and by the time they would have gotten it back, it probably would have been about a minute to go. And instead, he finds an escape route and runs easily, not just easily 15 yards for the first down. It's completely inexcusable, and it's really disappointing because they had a chance to at least give themselves a chance and blew it.
They did, and that's what I think a lot of fans are going to be screaming about tomorrow, even tonight on the talk shows about, again, this defense. It had certainly made marked improvements over the last 3 games, and then at the biggest time when the Bengals needed to stop to give Joe Burrow one more chance, they were nowhere to be found, and that's awfully, awfully frustrating.
Mike, I know you're about to read a promo here, but let me just say one thing.
Yes.
When DJ Turner forced that fumble in the end zone, my mind went to, holy cow, this defense is going to go 4 straight games allowing 20 points or less, isn't it? It really is going to do that. Yeah, I was wrong. I'm sorry.
The Bengals defense did have its moments here on Sunday afternoon. I thought they did a good job with Josh Allen getting some pressure, Skinny. At the end of the first half, beginning of the second half, there were moments where they got right in Josh Allen's face. As a matter of fact, first play of the second half, Bengals sacked Josh Allen for 8 yards. It was 2nd and 18, and Allen throws an out pattern, and DJ Turner gets called for, I thought, a tacky, touchy defensive pass interference, and that sent the Bills on their way down the field for a touchdown.
And I thought, one of the early plays, Joseph Osai from the backside on it was a 3rd and 2, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was a 3rd and 2. Josh Allen tried a read option play, tried to pull it, and Joseph Osai came from the backside and dropped him for a loss. DJ Turner actually had a really good pass breakup early in the game. Jordan Battle almost came up with an interception, probably should have had an interception on a ball down the seam. There were good moments. There's just not enough of them, Mike, against good teams. And maybe now that you start to look back at this 3-game stretch, especially with the way Baltimore played today, like their offense is a mess. Drake May was terrible for a quarter and a half, and that's why New England didn't have much success. Pittsburgh's offense is pretty moribund, and it was especially when Aaron Rodgers went out in that first game after the bye. Maybe, and I include myself because I looked at it. Okay, they look like they're getting better. Stats say they're getting better. Eyeball test says they're getting better. And then today, in big moments, they're not better. They are what they are. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's what we find out at the end of the day is you have to just. You can't take whatever small sample size. You have to take the big picture and go, you know what? Here's where the fixes need to be, and we genuinely have to fix these things. I think they kind of masked it last few weeks. I didn't think Al Gold was as aggressive as I would have liked, and I guess I get some of that. He's been aggressive the last few weeks. I think he was scared of Josh getting out or, with the snow, a guy slipping and falling and then making a big play. But I just honestly keep doing what you were doing because it was the only thing that was working was just pressuring people.
2 coaching points here that I think the Bengals, I guess, deserve some critique, if not criticism for. The Al Golden decisions on the 2 big Josh Allen runs have to be scrutinized is probably the best word.
Yep.
What were they thinking? Where were the linebackers? And secondly, when you have a 28-18 lead, do you want Joe Burrow throwing the ball laterally? Do you want him throwing it all over the field, or do you want to rely on your running game? Coming into this game, the Buffalo Bills' run defense was 30th in the National Football League. Chase Brown, Skinny, in the first half only averaged 1.9 yards a carry. He was not good. Samaje Perine was much better, and I know they tried to get Perine going there in the third quarter. I just didn't think they stuck with it enough, and I don't think they managed to lead well in this game.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is that with 2018, that was middle of the fourth quarter. I mean, they didn't have the ball very much in the third quarter. I mean, they went 3 and
No.
out on their first series. Buffalo dominated time of possession. When they finally got it back, they put together that touchdown drive. I think to some degree the game got to a point where you had a 10-point lead and you were 1st and 10 on the Buffalo 33. We can argue at that point, 28-25 at that point. We can argue at that point, lean back into the run game. I'd have to see how the play unfolded behind what Burrow saw where Benford intercepted it. I don't disagree with the first down pass play call at that point with Joe Burrow. You're at the 33. You're feeling pretty good about the way you're moving the football. I'm
Right.
with you to some degree. I'm a big lean on the run game guy, but I thought they did a really good job of mixing and matching for the most part. It was a little disappointing. Chase Brown couldn't get untracked. I don't think that was Chase's fault. He just couldn't get untracked. But yeah, just the way the game flowed, I just don't know if they could have leaned into that run game more. Maybe 1st and 10 at the Buffalo 33. All right, run it on first down. Let's see what you get. But I also have to trust Joe Burrow to make a play, and Christian Benford made a better play.
We need to talk about the 2 fourth-down conversions that Josh Allen converted,
Yeah.
speaking of the defense.
Yeah.
Josh Allen on the day, he was not only great running the ball, which he always is, he completed 22 of 28 passes, 251 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. His passer rating today, Skinny, 139.7. And he made 2 passes in this game that, when you look back on it, yes, they were in the first half, and they were in the second quarter, but 4th and 3, and he finds an out pattern on the outside for the first down on a 4th down conversion. Then later on the same drive, he finds Khalil Shakir on an 11-yarder, a thing of beauty. He was running towards the Bills sideline. Joseph Asai is about ready to pound him into the ground, into the AstroTurf, field turf here at Highmark Stadium. And he gets off the pass, and before Shakir can even turn around, the ball's on him. He catches the ball, touchdown. Those are, to me, 2 of the more critical plays in the game.
Yeah, not only is he great at scrambling forward for big yardage plays because he can break a tackle, he's elusive. He is so good at continuing to extend. And to the play you're talking about, he was to the sideline and Osai's bearing down on him, and you're like, he's got nowhere to go with this. Where are you going with this, my man? And he finds a way to get the pass completed in there. And let's not forget the 4th and goal at the 3, with the Bengals clinging to, or actually trailing. I always got to get these scores were so crazy. 32-28. It's 4th and goal at the Bengals 3. He rolls out to the right. His first option's covered. Looked like his second option was covered. He backpedals and scrambles to his right. He's back at the 10. And you're thinking, he's got nowhere to go. Now, the pressure wasn't great, mind you, but it's starting to come down on him. We're like, he's out of options. And he zings it wide open to Jackson Hawes, whoever the heck he is, 3rd-string tight end, right in the front of the end zone for a touchdown. That was a 4th down play, too, 4th and goal at the 3. Now, again, they don't convert it. The Bengals are going to have to go 97 yards to win the game, but guess what they did? They did score a touchdown on the next series, the Bengals did. So maybe they would have gone 97 yards for the game-winning touchdown. Instead, he throws that score that basically seals the win. So 3 big plays on 4th down they made, or rather he made, because of the way he extends plays. Listen, I think Lamar's fabulous when he's healthy, just because of the things he can do. Josh Allen, though, and Pat Mahomes, and some degree Burrow, probably not as much as you'd like him to anymore because you don't want him scrambling like a crazy man. Josh Allen is just so good at either scrambling or extending plays and then making plays off those extensions, and he did it today.
Do you see Josh Allen leading this team to the Super Bowl? Because some people said after the game, this Bills team's good but not great.
No, I agree.
Skinny, here's my counter to that. In this AFC, I think a good quarterback that gets on a run and plays complementary football and they don't turn the ball over, I think the Bills could get to the Super Bowl. I really do, because there's no other team that knocks my socks off in the AFC.
No, they're not. But the other team that I'm looking at the moment is Jacksonville. I think they're playing really good football at the moment. They're running it, they're throwing it, they're defending it. They're good. New England's the one to me that you're just not quite ready, right? It's just like you kind of came out of nowhere. This is great. You're probably going to be the number 1 seed, and who knows? Maybe they take advantage of it. This is also a team that lost their opener at home to the Raiders. And maybe it is Josh Allen's time. I mean, it feels like there's been these quarterbacks in the league where for a bit it was Mahomes, then it Burrow for a minute, Then back to Mahomes. Allen's always been lurking in the shadows. Doesn't feel like it's Lamar's year. Like they're not even going to get to the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers is too old to do it. So maybe to your point, yes, but I still think they got a lot of holes, man. They've got a lot of holes. Josh Allen masked some of them, but defensively, I still think they have some issues, and I just don't know if they have enough big playmakers other than Josh Allen.
What needs to happen, Skinny, for this Bengals team to really think about the next 4 games, getting into the playoffs, or not getting into the playoffs and just worry about getting better for 2026? What should happen in the next 4 games?
You hope the defense can flip back to some of the script it had the last couple of games prior to today. I'm not sure I have a ton of confidence in that, although you're playing a pretty moribund offense in Baltimore at the moment. Miami's playing better, which is that may honestly, that was one I think we all chalked up as a win a few weeks ago, and I'm not so sure it's quite the sure win it was. And the last 2 games, you're playing just 2 god awful teams. This team, every time you think they're down and out, they find a way to give you some level of hope. So I'm going to guess they'll do that by beating Baltimore and keeping this thing alive until late. But as I mentioned, the variables right now are really hard. Now, the Baltimore variable is less hard. You need Baltimore to lose, you're going to have to beat them, but you need them to lose one more game otherwise, and they still have New England at home and the Packers on the road, in addition to the Steelers on the road at the end of the year. But then you need some real help from the Steelers. They still have to play at the Lions. They still have to play at the Browns. They're home to Baltimore. Could they lose 3 of those games? They could. I don't know if they will. So you've left the variables very much up to chance at the moment. That's what today did. Today gave you a chance to say mathematically, man, we are in a perfect spot. We run the table. It's going to break down just exactly like we need to, because one of the 2 teams is going to have to finish 10-7 to be ahead of us if we're 9-8, and we're all good. And instead, you've made the math extremely difficult. I think they'll keep fighting. I do think that's what this team is. I think that's what Zach Taylor is. I think that's what Joe Burrow is. I think you have enough leaders to keep fighting, but it's just you've made the math extraordinarily hard.
Want to read you a quote, Skinny, from T. Higgins post-game, and the game he had today was remarkable. 2 touchdowns.
I thought he was out of it when he landed the back of his head.
Yes, on the sideline. We all did. He went into the tent for about a good 5 minutes. He got checked out. He cleared protocol, and he was back on the field. And in that 4th quarter, that final touchdown drive, T. Higgins made a one-handed catch that unbelievable. I mean, he is a spectacular athlete that I never get tired of watching or covering. And after the game, and this audio clip is up on my X page at Trags, TRAGS. You can check it out. He said, when asked about playing through, I hate saying this because it suggests that he was playing with a concussion, and we don't know that. But after this week clearing concussion protocol and taking a rough hit and continuing to play, he said, quote, "I'm a soldier. Soldiers take hits. It happens. It's football. It's the name of the game. Just got to get up. Next play mentality." Your thoughts on T. Higgins?
I remember the game a couple of years ago in Kansas City. It's cold. It's Jake Browning at quarterback. They have to win to keep the playoff hopes alive. T suffers a hamstring injury early in the first half and doesn't play the rest of the half. And you're like, okay, it's cold. He's done. He suffered a hamstring injury. Remember, he came back and played the second half of that game. That's what this guy is. I think that's why it really hurt him last year mentally or emotionally. When he got hurt early in the year, he was in the contract situation, and people were like, oh, he's making business decisions, isn't he? Oh, that's what this is all about. This isn't about him being hurt. And remember, our friend Ben Baby, to his credit, did a really good job to talk to T, and T gave him, I thought, really good stuff about that. And I think that shows you all of what he's about, that he cares so much about this stuff, that he's going to play when he can play as much as possible. And listen, I'm not here to tell you that you can fake a concussion or not having a concussion. It's pretty hard to do, especially when there's an independent checker on these things. That being said, I can't tell you he didn't feel like his bell was rung, right? I mean, I don't know if you saw the TV version of this, Mike, or the replay. He was on the ground. He's like pointing at his head like, I hit my head. And so, he knew it was bad. And I guarantee you it hurt. And I guess the good part is it's not a concussion, although these things scare me sometimes because what is it? What's a borderline concussion? What's not? Is it close enough to where, okay, you're not officially concussed, but I get your head's going to hurt? and yet he comes out and balls. I mean, that one-handed catch was ridiculous. The guy had his other arm. He had his other arm trapped in the snow, trying to haul it in, and he does catch it. It's absurd what he does.
T. Higgins for the day. 6 catches, 11 targets, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns, and just an all-around impressive performance by a receiver that was, again, coming off concussion protocol. And one of the themes after the game, Skinny, how good could this Bengal team have been if they had had Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins together all season long?
Yeah, you know what I'm going to say? I think they'd have been 4-9. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean,
I think they would have won at least 2 more games.
Were they going to win the Jets game? Were they going to win the Bears game? Were they going to win this game? I mean, 3 games they scored 33 points or more, Mike, and lost, and 2 of those were without Joe Burrow. So I'm going to refute you on that one. I just don't know if they did. Maybe 1 or 2, maybe, and that would have been enough. 1 or 2 more, 2 more would have been enough. I'll give you that part, but I don't know, man. This defense continues to be a sieve.
We haven't even touched on what Joe Burrow said post-game, and I think it's certainly – I'm just going to read a snippet of what he said at the podium, and that was, that's the way the cookie crumbled this season. I learned a lot about myself watching this team this year and how we handled wins, how we handled losses, how I handled it, what football means to me. You watched Joe Burrow in his press conference after this game. What were your thoughts on how he's come to grips with what the Bengals are right now?
I think that's just it, Mike. I think he's come to grips with what they are right now. The competitive, feisty, crazy man, Joe Burrow, I think would have not accepted this. It was almost like, and I don't mean this in a bad way, I think sometimes this happens to you in life. I think he kind of has accepted that I came back in a tough situation at 3-8. Yeah, we tried to fight our way out of it. Just weren't good enough. And, probably aren't going to be good enough when all is said and done, and that's the way the cookie crumbles. And that was interesting to me because that's just not – I don't mean this negatively. I think that's really introspective of Joe Burrow. But at the same time, the Joe Burrow I've seen in the past would be so unaccepting of this that there's no way he would have cracked a smile at the podium, even when talking about a teammate like T. Higgins. And I know people are going to shoot me for that. I want that stuff to be understood. I understand it. That's a human being. Joe Burrow's usually been a robot in these situations. And so for him to be resigned to the fact makes you go, whew. I guess that's where we are with this program at the moment.
All right, and I'll finish up with this from Zach Taylor. I feel sick for the guys. I thought they made some plays. They made more than us down the stretch, and that was the difference in the game. 2 good teams, hard-fought game. We came up short, and it's disappointing. I know what the typical Bengal fan is thinking listening to that. What are your thoughts about Zach Taylor, how he managed today, and how he should manage the team going forward?
I think he's managed his team pretty well, to be honest with you. But I mean, okay, 2 good teams, sure, if you say so. I'm seeing a 4-9 football team and a 9-4 football team. In the NFL, a 5-game difference. I don't care about injuries or any other stuff. That's a big difference. Did the Bengals play well enough to win today? They sure did. Did they play well enough to win against the Bears? They sure did. They played well enough to win against the Jets? They sure did. And guess what they didn't do? Remember last year, all those 30-point games that they lost when they scored 30 or more? You're in a bad rut at the moment, man, and they got to find a way to get this roster right and fix this moving forward.
To your point, and supporting exactly what you just said, Skinny, Joe Burrow said, we know what we are, and we know how frustrating it's been. We are a 4-9 football team. That's not good. So that is Joe Burrow acknowledging that we're not a good team, and the record says we're not a good team. And I think maybe a little more self-awareness from Zach in a moment like that, a little more tough love at his team. I think he showed that maybe once after the Chicago Bears meltdown. Yep. He did show that. Players got to step up and make plays. We just have to have players. And, that was really about the defense. But I think in general, after a game like today, the message going forward's got to be, this cannot be acceptable going forward for the rest of the year or going ahead to next year as we look to set our roster.
Yeah, I don't have the quote in front of me, but it was the 3rd and 15 scramble that Josh Allen had for the game-clinching first down was, he just got out. I mean, okay, is it that? That's it? He just got out? Oh, okay, great. Fix this stuff moving forward, boys.